Before World War II, my father had been employed in the Great Depression by Standard Oil Company down in El Segundo, early and later on in the Bay Area. And what they had been doing was to gather as many engineers together to go to Saudi Arabia to develop oil in Saudi Arabia. And I was about 5 years old. My sister was just a baby, and my brother here, Gerald, hadn't been born yet. So the whole idea of either going to Saudi Arabia and coming home occasionally or taking us all over there, neither one of them appealed to him, and but they didn't have a need for him. So they helped him get a job with a pipeline construction company down in Avenel, the Kettleman oil fields, which at that time was the last oil field opened up in the country, I believe. At the end of the war, my father and mother, for a number of reasons, started their own business with no capital, borrowed money, a few dollars. I was about 12 years old by that time. So I worked as a welder's helper and a timekeeper. There weren't any regulations on age that much in those days. I worked part-time, except for my years in college and in the United States Navy in the construction field. And I came back with the company when I finished my time in the service.
Lyles Diversified is a multifaceted company. Today, Lyles Diversified consists of construction companies in several different arenas. We are primarily doing plant work. We also are doing metal work, air conditioning ducts and sheeting, and all through a company we've acquired recently, New England Sheet Metal. The company also does grading and paving through American Paving. We do utility work through Lyles Utility. Major investments in apartment buildings. We're involved in over 4,000 acres of agricultural orchards, and we've done shopping center developments and currently involved in housing developments in and around the Fresno area. The geographic spread is different for each of our segments of business. The average length of time of our management people is what, close to 25 years? 30?
Of existing employees, 25, and key employees, a lot of them get close to 40 years.
We've only had 3 chief financial officers in 75 years. You gain an expertise that it took us years to develop, the kind of expertise to do these very complex jobs. When our employees have come back, and a number of them, I go around to the jobs, and they wouldn't be working for us if we didn't this way. In other words, they are people of integrity themselves. When we treat them right, then they believe it's right, and they buy in with integrity or they wouldn't be there. And it really pays off. I had 4 great-grandmothers born at the time of the Civil War that I knew well enough to remember. My parents, all of them went through the Great Depression, so those values were very distinctly left in our minds. And to this day, I get more joy out of creating things, building things. That's the way I was taught to be. And I'm uncomfortable being wasteful. It's so important in this country, the synergism. The fact that when you put 2 or 3 disciplines together, we may be 23rd in the world in math and science, but we're tops in the world in innovation and entrepreneurship. And that creates success in the 3rd revolution of technological revolution that we're in today. That's the reason when I got a chance to do that, Tim Stearns and John Welty didn't have to ask very hard when I jumped into it. I believed in it, and I still believe in it.
I think the real satisfaction in life for us is actually giving back, and the giving that can come from our efforts.
I marvel at firms that start up new businesses and have to do it all on their own the way my grandparents did 75 years ago. And to me, that is quite an achievement. Today, we have a huge team here, and it's an award for that team, and very appreciative and of everything they do. We do things and we cover for each other, and everything gets done. The true entrepreneurs, to me, are the people that have to do everything all on their own and start something brand new up from scratch, and that I marvel at. I appreciate to be included with that group.
I think that's what you ought to do. He said it best.